did you become aware during the course of your investigation, then I'll narrow the time frame, during the course of your investigation, that there were calls between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at approximately 2:22 a.m. on the 29th?
During the course of my investigation, I was not aware of that. If you have a document that I can see, I can tell you if I've ever seen it before.
Did you seek to secure Brian Albert's cell phone to determine what calls he did and didn't make on January 29th or January 28th?
No, we did not.
Okay. In your experience, would a phone extraction, a cell phone extraction of Brian Albert's phone, have revealed calls made and received in the time frame that we're talking about, the 28th and the 29th of January 2022?
If a phone is extracted, the records of phone calls being made and received would show those records.
You did receive information from Brian Higgins' phone, specifically the texts that he claimed he pulled off of his phone and gave to you, correct?
We received text messages that I read today that Brian Higgins provided from his phone.
Did you seek to secure his actual phone for a forensic download or a forensic mirror image to get the actual calls made and received or text messages made and received from his phone?
No, we did not.
At some point, this is just yes or no, at some point, did you become aware of a call between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at 2:22 a.m. on the morning of the 29th? Just yes or no?
No.
As you sit here today, this is new information to you. Let me rephrase that. This is unknown information to you. You do not have any information about that?
Objection.
Sustain. We need a time frame, Mr. Jackson.
I realize that, Judge. That's why I'm asking it this way. As you sit here, are you aware of a phone call between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins at 2:22 a.m. on January 29th, 2022?
Well, you just shared that with me. I have no memory or record of seeing that it actually took place. I do not know.
Okay, so you've never heard that before. That was what I was getting to. You've never heard that before?
No.
Okay. You indicated that you did not seek to secure Brian Albert's phone to do a phone extraction at any time, correct?
We did not try to get Brian Albert's phone for any reason whatsoever.
Did you become aware during the course of your investigation that Brian Albert destroyed his phone?
I'd like to be seen. Objection.
Yeah. Jurors, disregard that question. Come over to sidebar, please.
Thank you. Did you become aware of a call that was made by Brian Higgins at 1:35 a.m. while at Canton Police Department?
I am not aware of that, no.
So you did nothing in terms of investigating any phone call that Brian Higgins did or didn't make while at Canton PD on the night or the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022?
We never sought to get Brian Higgins' phone. He was not looked at as a individual that we would need to get his information for any reason at that point.
Even after you received and read all of those text messages between him and Karen Reed?
Correct.
And even after you became aware of the timeline that we just walked through, starting on January 23rd, going all the way into January 28th and into January 29th. You did nothing to investigate that.
We had the information that we had. We did not need to get his phone.
And the information that you had came from Brian Higgins himself, not from a forensic extraction, correct?
The extraction that Brian Higgins provided was a forensics extraction of his communications with Mr. O'Keefe and Karen Reed. We had Mr. O'Keefe's phone and we had Karen Reed's phone, so we can verify and confirm that those text message communications were accurate, unredacted, not deleted, and were true representation of what their communications consisted of.
And that was a representation made by whom?
The totality of it.
That was a representation made by whom? A person made that representation to you that it was fair and accurate. Who made that representation?
It wasn't a person, it was the extractions between the three devices.
Well, an extraction that you were handed on a device by someone, correct?
No, I said that we had all three devices, and as I told Mr. Higgins in our interview together, I said, Brian, we have those two devices.
Meaning
if
John's
you
and Karen's.
correct.
Okay.
If there's anything deleted or altered in any way, we will have proof of it. So please make sure that you understand the magnitude of this situation. We're investigating a homicide. It needs to be accurate, and it was.
And you trusted that coming from Brian Higgins rather than simply getting an extraction from his phone. Correct? Yes.
I trusted him, yes, because we trust and verified. And after verifying, the extractions were correct.
And following that verification of the text messages, did that raise any suspicion in your mind about any possible motives Brian Higgins may have relative to John O'Keefe?
Suspicions of motives? Is that your question?
Correct.
No, the evidence spoke for itself. The honesty, cooperation of all the witnesses and corroborating, supporting facts spoke for themselves. So I was not suspicious of his motives. The conversation was documented over text message. Spoke for itself.
Supporting documentation, including a text message at 2:20 a.m., just minutes before John O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview from Brian Higgins, right? 12:20 a.m. That's one of the factors, correct?
That's one of the factors that is part of the entire investigation, yes.
One of the other factors is that John O'Keefe's body was found in the lawn at 34 Fairview, just feet from the front door, the side door, and the garage door, correct?
That is when Mr. O'Keefe was found on the left side of the lawn, yes.
And one of the factors was you originally said that it appeared that it may be an incident involving a cocktail glass to the face. Initially, please.
Based on verbal reports, initially, that was a possibility. Again, it was before we spoke to
I realize it's before a lot of other things happened, but initially, that's what I'm asking about.
Yes, initially, it was a possibility.
And when you saw John O'Keefe at the hospital, a big contusion above his right eye, correct?
That is not correct.
He had a big egg just above his right eye.
That is not correct.
You did not see that?
His eyelids were swollen, not above his eye. And it wasn't a contusion.
If two different paramedics said that they saw what they described as an egg above his right eye. Well, let me ask you differently. Did you speak to any of the paramedics?
Yes.
Did they describe an egg above his right eye?
I'd have to see a report to actually be described as an egg above his right eye.
Did you notice a laceration at his right eye?
His right eyelid did have a tiny, tiny laceration.
Did you see a small laceration in his nostril on his nose?
A tiny, tiny laceration, yes.
You noted that he didn't have any broken bones or fractures other than to his skull?
I did not know that. I didn't conduct x-rays or conduct the autopsy. I'm not a medical professional.
You didn't ask the doctors at the time you went and visited him and saw him in the hospital whether or not he had broken bones or fractures?
I don't believe they reported that.